Joining us now is independent journalist Lee Fang. He's got a great new piece out. Let's go and put it up there on the screen. Inside the pro-Israel information war, Israeli government-led Zoom calls, WhatsApp chat logs, and other documents provide a window into the massive effort to shape online discourse and silence pro-Palestinian voices. Lee, thank you so much for joining us, first of all. And why don't you break down a little bit of what you uncovered from behind the scenes of some cancellation campaigns that we've seen in front of us?
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me. And before I begin, I just want to give a big shout out to my co-author, Jack Olson, really fantastic journalist. Check out his Substack. Check out Tech Inquiry. It's a watchdog group that he runs. We did this story looking into, let me just say this, there's two wars going on. There's the physical war in Gaza, but there's also a propaganda war. There's a war to win public opinion, to shape the online and public discourse. This story looks into that. Many of the participants in this organization and these groups that we looked into, they call it the information war, also the second battlefield. And we looked at documents, planning documents, activist documents, videos and webinars with training seminars on how to engage in this information war. And we've got access to this 300-person WhatsApp group, pro-Israel group, many prominent members, officials from AIPAC, the very influential pro-Israel lobbying group here in the US, venture capitalists, tech leaders, a lot of prominent names in there. And they're basically organizing to support Israel. Some of the work is fairly benign or, normal charitable work. They're raising funds to provide humanitarian assistance to communities that impacted in Israel. But some of the other work is perhaps a little bit more problematic that raises certain concerns. They're organizing as well to silence Palestinian voices, to silence pro-Palestinian voices. They're organizing the pressure campaigns on universities and other groups to cancel pro-Palestinian speakers. They've gone after and successfully canceled events from Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, Democrat from Michigan, Muhammad al-Kurd. He's a fairly prominent writer from Jerusalem, writes for The Nation and other US-based publications. He was scheduled to speak at the University of Vermont, and members of this group mobilized a pressure effort to cancel that event, and indeed it was canceled. They're pooling money into AI-based tech tools to automatically flag and report pro-Palestinian content on various social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, what have you. They're organizing to send even arms and weapons to Israel, although it seems like some of those efforts were not successful because of customs efforts or customs issues. But it's a sprawling effort. I mean, these are mostly volunteers. Of course, any group on either side of this, pro-Palestinian or pro-Israel, has a right to speak out. There's no issue with that. We all have a First Amendment right here. But what's kind of interesting and again, kind of unusual here is that many Israeli government officials have participated in these efforts. They've sat in on the chats. They've helped guide the advocacy on webinars. I've looked at a lot of different interest groups and efforts to shape public policy, public discourse. The role of a foreign government in such a heavy-handed role here, that's something that I haven't seen before.
Yeah. Lee, perhaps you could take us through one example of someone that they targeted for cancellation, getting them fired, getting a talk canceled, so we can see how this network sort of operates.
Well, the story goes through a lot of different examples, but one we open with, and this was publicly reported, shortly after the October 7th terrorist attack. We saw a wave of cancellations. One employee from the website building Wix, it's an Israeli company in Ireland, posted on LinkedIn, "Free Palestine." She later posted other comments criticizing the kind of exclusive Zionist state of Israel. These are potentially controversial comments, but this is her political opinion. By looking at this WhatsApp group, we see kind of a very rapid effort to identify tech employees and academics and activists for cancellation. So someone took a screenshot of her simply saying "Free Palestine," shared with the group. Immediately, an executive from Wix, from this tech company that employed her, said, "We're already working on it." Someone else confirmed that she's working on it. The Wix executive says, we'll look for a statement tomorrow. This has been taken care of. And indeed, within 24 hours, this employee was fired. The WhatsApp group is just littered with examples of this.
Wow.
They're going after, very kind of even minor or relatively minor student groups, pressuring universities to cut their ties with them. They're mobilizing donors and alumni from various elite colleges, NYU, Columbia, and others, to support decisions to revoke the status of student groups, Jewish Voices for Peace, Students for Palestine. These are kind of left-wing groups that are more on the very much so on the pro-Palestinian side. They're really targeting these organizations and getting them removed or canceled from university campuses.
Lee, another part that I thought was really fascinating because it rang so true is you talk about some of the training that's done in this group. And in particular, you've got information about an Israel-based venture capitalist who outlined 3 categories of people that it was worth reaching out to and trying to persuade. One group was dubbed the impressionables, typically young people. They reflexively support the weak, oppose the oppressor, but are not really knowledgeable. For this category of people, the goal is not to convince them of anything, but to seed doubt. That was one group. The second group was what was described as the uncomfortable sympathizer group that wants to support Israel, typically more liberal, but opposes Netanyahu. These types can be won over by pointing out we are a multi-ethnic, diverse, democratic, liberal society with rotten apples. The Israeli gay pride flags sort of come to mind in that genre of outreach. The final group consists of those who are reflexively pro-Israel, kind of Israel right or wrong. Members of this group are not actually very knowledgeable, so they needed to be equipped with the right facts to make them more effective in advocating for Israel.
That's right. I mean, these are just, some of these tactics, I guess you kind of see them on any controversial, emotionally related topic, but it's really interesting to see, this was a high-level official, runs the Israel office of Bessemer Venture Partners. This is one of the biggest VC firms in the world. They help seed LinkedIn, Yelp, Shopify, you name it. This is a very big VC firm, a lot of money under management, a lot of influence. And one of their partners, Andy David, led this talk. He gave the comments that you just referenced, and he did it so alongside an IDF spokesperson in uniform for this kind of training session for tech leaders and VC folks to engage in the social media debate. And he was kind of bragging that he had ridiculed and rebutted Paul Graham, another very influential venture capitalist who has made comments that people perceive as pro-Palestinian, talking about the civilian body count on both sides and how it's higher on the Palestinian side. But that's just one of many of these webinars. They're really focused on social media. They're the pro-Israel side, and I think both sides really are concerned about how this conflict is perceived. And really, if you open up any of these social media platforms, you do see hateful stuff on both sides. You see anti-Semitic comments, you see Islamophobic, anti-Arab comments, you see people justifying the slaughter of civilians, really, again, on both sides. But really, it is also a lopsided debate, because the vast majority of people who are losing their academic freedom, who are losing their free speech, who are getting kind of removed from social media because they're getting constantly flagged, whether by bots or by volunteers, it's not really clear, or by, these kind of the black box of who makes decisions at these social media companies. You're seeing more of the pro-Palestinian side getting silenced.
Yeah, we have that example that you mentioned. We can put it up there on the screen just to show people the level of state support even for this, where it shows a graphic here for those who are just listening that says, Israel needs you now. Special guests include a major in the IDF spokesperson unit, Libby Weiss, who previously, I believe she was an American citizen who made Aliyah, went to Israel, and now works as a spokesperson for the IDF. And then Adam Fisher, who's a partner at that venture firm that you mentioned. This is straight up like a government organized effort to, and who were the people then, Lee, who participated in this? It's very, high net worth individuals who then were encouraged to participate in cancellation campaigns here in the United States.
Yeah, it's largely folks in the Bay Area, people who work at VC funds, family offices, tech firms, tech lawyers. But it's a loosely organized group of volunteers, essentially. I mean, these are people who are very concerned about the conflict, who want to play a part. Again, that's their right. But there's also some people in D.C. and New York. I don't have the full list of this particular Zoom call, but we viewed quite a few. We watched some of these videos. Some of these videos were actually posted online that anyone can see, but just in very kind of hidden corners of the internet. Even just within the first few days after the conflict started on October 7th, you had almost immediately, you had IDF spokespeople, people from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Israel, organizing these Zoom calls to say, hey, look, for people who support Israel, who are traumatized by this terror attack, you can play a part too. You can be a frontline soldier. We need you to influence universities. We need you to influence your elite circles of donors and other influential people in the media. We need you to pressure Congress to maintain strong support for Israel. We need munitions. We need armaments. We need Congress to send us military support to win this war. And even though there are people fighting in the physical battlefield, you can play your part back in the United States. And indeed, that's what we've seen over the last 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lee, it actually reminds me of, this is not new for the Israeli government. They've always been very savvy about shaping public opinion, especially in the places where they need public opinion to be shaped. This goes all the way back to the early Zionists, trying to secure the Balfour Declaration from Britain and trying to shape the media coverage in England of what was happening in historic Palestine there. So it has a lot of echoes throughout history of this sort of organized effort, which again may not be illegal, but it's nevertheless interesting to see how these things that feel like they're organic unfolding online, and the types of arguments that are being made, and the type of sweeping cancellations that we've seen across the country, to see some of the nitty-gritty of how this is actually organized behind the scenes. The last question I had for you is, has there been any dissent within these networks? Has there ever been a moment where someone raised their hand, what, this is too far, or this person shouldn't be fired, or what, this rhetoric I really object to?
Yes, yeah. This is not like this is a 300-person WhatsApp group. Again, this is a snapshot into what are probably a lot of other WhatsApp groups and other organizing efforts. This is just one that we got access to, but there was some pushback against some of these demands to cancel. The Netflix film Farha, it's a Jordanian film that depicts a scene or a moment in the 1948 war. What Palestinians call the Nakba, when many Palestinians were forced out of their homes and pushed out of Israel. There's a very gory scene. I just recently watched the film in which Israeli militant soldiers kill civilians. It's a heart-wrenching film, or heart-wrenching scene, and there's an effort in this WhatsApp group to apply more pressure to Netflix to cancel this film, to stop it from being streamed. And one of the members of this group said, even Israeli historians have confirmed that some of these activities indeed took place.
Wow.
But this person was kind of overrode by the other members who said, look, this is still incitement against Jews. This is anti-Semitism. This is blood libel. At this point in time, it's not, even if it's historically accurate, we still need to get this canceled.
Wow.
But again, this is not, there was some lively back and forth. It's not everyone was in agreement.
All right. I guess we'll take it.
What's that Netflix film again? I want to check it out now.
Farha.
Farha.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Lee, thank you. It's a fantastic report. I really encourage people to read it in depth because, like I said, it is really fascinating just to see the way these things develop behind the scenes versus just the public face that we all have access to. So thank you so much for your work, and always great to see you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Everybody
Thank you
subscribe
so
to
much.
Lee's Substack. We'll see you later, man.
Appreciate that. Take care.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.